Hey guys, so today's gonna be a fun video. We're gonna learn about Milo Stewart getting the D. Yep, let's get into the video.
I am definitely ready to sit in this really super hot water that is burning my feet, while I'm also wearing a shirt. This is planned out super well. Oh boy.
So you're gonna be taking a bath with your clothes on again. Why are you doing this, Milo? I mean, okay, but it's weird.
Ooh. Okay. I'm out of focus. Good. Why would I ever want to be in focus? God, those pores, though. Hi, my name is Milo Stewart, and I am sexually active. I recently became sexually active. Not super recently, like within the past couple months. I am conscious of, or at least I try to be conscious of, how much I share about my personal life online, and I have my own boundaries for what I will and will not share online. But then I also realize that when I start talking about sex, then that involves other people, and I need to consider their privacy. And so I wanted to wait to talk about having my sexual debut online until I'd had sex with multiple partners, so that no one could know what specific partner I was talking about.
So what you're saying is that you've had sex with 2 or more partners so far. So let me guess. Those partners have been Riley and Snow. Am I correct? Oh, and possibly Doe, too, because you did say you were in a relationship with her. But considering that you said that you were only attracted to guys, I'm just gonna say Riley and Snow.
When I talk about having my sexual debut, I mean becoming sexually active. A lot of people would use the term losing virginity to describe this occurrence. However, I'm not a fan of the phrase losing virginity or virgin because there's a lot of ish attached to that I don't agree with. A lot of people have a lot of different understandings of what virginity is, and to me it just means you have sex for the first time. But a lot of people think that it means that you have penis and vagina sex for the first time, and I feel like that's a very heteronormative way of looking at sexuality.
So what Milo is saying is that virginity meaning having sex for the first time. Some people think that means having penis and vagina sex for the first time. She's saying that's quote-unquote heteronormative, or assuming that heterosexuality is the norm, which it is. But I get what she means if people think that losing your virginity only means that you have to have penis and vagina sex. Yeah, you could be gay and not want to have that sort of sex, or just that's not your first time, that's just not what you do your first time. So I get that is a sort of limited way of looking at sex, but at the same time, that's not what everybody means when they talk about losing your virginity. A. B. That doesn't devalue the actual term of losing your virginity, just because some people see losing your virginity in a limited way doesn't mean that losing your virginity suddenly makes that a bad term. Like, I don't get it. Why do you have to change it to my sexual debut? Just because some people see it in a limited way. If anything, it would be more helpful to educate people that there's more than just penis and vagina sex.
I've always had like really weird feelings about having my sexual debut. Cause I'm asexual, and my feelings on sex are kind of meh.
But you said you were sex repulsed in previous videos. Can you please be consistent?
Sex indifferent, I guess the term is, to occasionally being sex repulsed. For a while, I was very determined to break the world's record for the oldest person to have yet had their sexual debut. And then I Googled that, and I found out that there are people in their 90s who have yet to have sex / never want to have sex. And I'm like, well, that's a world record I can't break, so I've had sex. Whoop-de-doo.
So let me get this straight. You said that you were never going to have sex until you figured out that you couldn't break the record. And then you were like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to have sex. Tell me how you're asexual again. I have several subscribers who identify themselves as asexual. Let me ask you, does this logic make any sense to you? Would you ever do that? No, I'm pretty sure that if you're legitimately asexual, you just wouldn't be interested in having sex.
Like, it's no biggie. I feel like I'd be happy dying without having had sex, except for there's always like the part of my brain that's like, your relationships are not valid and are not taken seriously if they don't involve sex. Of course, that's a wrong attitude, but it's an attitude that's ingrained into my mind.
Okay, so what she's saying is that, well, I would be happy not having sex, but society is pressuring me to have sex. No, I think what she means is that part of her brain is going, I want the D, and then her ideology is going, no, I can't have the D because I'm supposed to be a special snowflake.
I had previously been involved in committed relationships, but those relationships had all been queer platonic relationships that did not involve any sex. And so mentally, I put those relationships on a different field than relationships that I perceived to be sexual, and that I mentally, even though I was wrong, I kept being like, those relationships are more valid. And that's not right, but I was still insecure.
Okay, so what she's talking about when she's talking about queer platonic relationships are basically her friends. That's all she's talking about. So she's saying what relationships are more valid than the others. No, just one of them is friends and one of them is romantic/sexual relationship. And yeah, I'm not saying your friendship is any more or less valuable than having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but you're trying to group them like they're both romantic or sexual relationships.
I started using Tinder when I came to college because I was like, wow, I'm an adult, I have freedom, I can meet people from this app on my phone. Great. But Tinder is very well known as being for hookups. There are a lot of people who use this app to have sex, to find sexual partners. And when I first started going on dates with people whom I matched with on Tinder,
I'm just trying to think of what Milo's Tinder profile will be. It's probably not that different from her Tumblr profile.
I was insecure. I wholeheartedly believe that you can be in a romantic relationship without one or both partners having sexual attraction for the other. So usually, if I'm in a romantic relationship, I might have romantic attraction for my partner. They might have sexual attraction for me. I don't have any towards them because I'm asexual.
Wait, you just said that you wouldn't have any sexual attraction toward your partner because you're asexual. But you said that you wanted to have sex and that I don't get it. I don't get what you're talking about anymore.
The thought of being intimate with anyone scared me, and honestly still kind of scares me. I think something that I was really worried about before having my sexual debut was understanding when I would be ready to have sex. I was not sure what that looked like or felt like, and I think this varies from person to person. For me, it felt like we were engaging in foreplay-ish activities, and then the transition from foreplay to sex was not something I had to think about. It just came like I understood that my partner was interested in doing things with me, and so it just got to that point, and I was okay with doing the things for my partner, to please my partner, and so I kept with it, and I did not have any regrets about it.
What you're saying is that you were nervous that your first time was going to be awkward, which is completely understandable, but then you said, oh, it kind of went smoothly, we just went from foreplay straight into sex. Okay, good for you, Milo. But then you said, oh, I had no issues with it, I had no regrets about having sex. It was just fine, I wanted to have sex, and it was fine. Then how are you asexual?
As a part of my experiences with asexuality, I enjoy types of intimacy that may be considered foreplay. I'm just good with just the foreplay. That necessarily didn't have to escalate into the sex, but in instances where I knew my partner was into it, and I felt okay with going there, then we went there and it was fine. And even after we, did the do, we were still able to just do the foreplay things just as like a solo engagement without the sex. But for me, knowing that I was ready meant that there was no
Are those the noises that Milo makes during sex? I have a frightened feeling that they are.
Are we gonna have sex? I don't know. It just like kind of happened, and I'm sure some people have that moment of are we gonna have sex? But I did not feel like I was at a point where I was okay with having sex if I was still getting over that are we going to have sex thing.
Okay, so to conclude this video, I'm glad that you're in a relationship, Milo. I'm glad that you're with someone you like. I'm glad you got the D and that you liked it. But don't go around pretending to be asexual after this, okay? Especially because there are people who are genuinely asexual, and you're making asexuality look like it's not a real thing when you do things like this and then claim to be asexual. Okay, so as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.
On feel the funk blast.